Okay, hopefully that's soft enough. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Richard Terrell. I go by Kirby Kid, and you are watching Design Over Time or the DL Live. I can't remember. But actually, this is kind of a daily stream show, but I don't do it daily anymore. But a few people in our Discord have made video games, and I am taking today, Sunday, I'm just taking the day and giving them all a playthrough and giving my feedback on the stream. So we're starting with a game that one of our newest members made. It's called Fashionable, Gummy Bear, and Escape the Kitchen of Death. All right. Gummy Bear woke up late and she has to get dressed and get to the fashion show ASAP. Run, jump, dodge, collect, and strategize your way to the show, and hopefully you can impress the high-scored judges. Controls left, right, space bar. Hey, Jacob. I didn't even know his real name. That's just what happens. Okay, so I'm going to go switch over to the game, and we will take it like that. Let's do this. Okay. So the music was kind of loud, but hopefully now it'll be a lot more manageable. I'm going to hit start, left, right, and spacebar. Got my ice cream here. Here we go. Okay, I'm assuming that's a bad thing. Damn, blue. Oh, couldn't even see that one. Probably should have told them to add a shadow. Ah. I don't know if I'm supposed to have music. Maybe that music in the intro was supposed to last this long. But it doesn't have a replay. So 71 somethings, 47 something else, and close changes 0. All right. So now I'm purple. Yep. Am I supposed to change colors as much as possible? Okay. I hit jump. You can't jump out of the water? Slightly higher score, but still no shirts. I guess the top one is time. It looks like bunny rabbits. So time is just as important as beans. Let's see. So we got people that have 15,000 score in the top 10. So let's see what we can do. Do you have to play multiple run-throughs? Oh, if you don't hit that thing, the music never comes on, I think. Oh. Now I'm orange. Whoa, I got an orange. What the heck? That's super obnoxious. Obnoxious. I have no idea. Yeah. And I played this before. $10,000. Yes, sure. What happened? I think the game's adjusting its difficulty, and the harder it gets, the more points you can get. Blah 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 blah. And I just kept playing. So let's see, Kirby Kid here. And now I am sixth best, right below Akamarak. I'm gonna get you, Akamarak. I played Akamarak's game the other week. Colette's Sugar Madness. You can find it on the YouTube channel. Interesting stuff. So everyone in our Discord seems to be working on a project of some kind, and a lot of us are making games, and a lot of us are doing it by ourselves. I worked on Enlighten. Fernando's working on HunterNet, which you'll see on stream later today. There's this. Lemon is working on Patch Quest. This game, Colette's Madness, and I think a few more. Let's just see what's different. I'm pretty sure if I don't touch that wooden thing, I don't get the music. What? How tight is that? That's obnoxious. I don't know what that's supposed to do. Okay, now I'm blue. Bop, 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 bop. I like the music. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Katamari, where you're like, hey, sugar. Oh, blue jumps higher? No? How did I do? I don't know what's happening. Every single time I feel like I do the same exact thing. But this time I have a rainbow shirt. New high score? Did I do better? I wouldn't think so. All that matters is if it's enough to beat Akamarak. The answer is no. Oops, Twitch chat. I'm supposed to actually keep that in mind. There. Put it over here. Okay, so I know a lot about the history of this game. I've talked with the creator, so why am I picking up a controller? But I think it's got some auto-adjusting difficulty. I'm not even sure how the score system works, but obviously not bumping things and getting the beans is good, so that's obvious enough. But I don't know enough to make like an informed decision about, is it worth it going for this bean, or is it worth it just going for time? Yeah, so let me just... So the level could be much longer. Like, this little... By the time it ends, I feel like it's a good third of what it should be, instead of like 100%. Da, 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 da. Blue. If I hit this, is that a good thing? So I matched the colors and it slowed me down a lot. I don't know why. And how much are those rainbow things worth? Is it worth me going for them? I don't know. And I feel like water should be avoided, but it looks like I should just walk into it. So weird. So yeah, so for a game this simple, I shouldn't have this many questions. So let's just start talking about it. Can I pause it as I go? No. Okay, I can pause it. Cool. Okay. So the intro, so like the entire game is just 3 lanes and a jump. Not a lot of inputs to work with, but depending on what you do with your level elements, you can do a lot. You know, a lot with that. I mean, Mario Run does a lot with just jump for the most part. So like, it's all about level design. No. So let's take a look at this. It looks like if you jump and bounce, you get bounced back even further than if you walk. Yeah. And if I jump right before hitting it, I go the furthest back? Do you actually have a higher jump if you jump and hold or tap? I'm getting some inconsistent results here. Maybe if I hit it on the frame before, yeah, it's the furthest back if you hit it like right before colliding. If you hit left and right at the same time, it does this, okay. So I got 1 belly jelly. That. Then I changed colors. How's this helping? I don't know. So and then this one is so tight in front of the salt shaker. So this whole game, you're going into the screen, and there's a concept we call bad 3D, which let me see if I can show you guys. Critical gaming. Bad 3D. I call it bad 3D because you have a 3D space represented and you can't really understand the 3D space with your eyes intuitively, which makes for a very sort of bad experience. So let's just ignore that sound for now. Fine, I'll pause it because that's obnoxious. Yeah, bad 3D. So like any game, I mean, this opening of this article is like there's games that look 3D but are 1D, games that look 2D but are 3D, games blah blah blah, all these different examples. How do we know what's what and what's important and what's dynamic and blah blah blah, who cares, blah 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 blah. You can read it for yourself, blah 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 blah. But I talk about this concept called bad 3D. Where did I talk about it? And if you're trying to significantly and accurately judge space that's like forward into the TV screen, right? It makes it incredibly hard to judge because the way we understand 3D spaces in depth is like a series of 6 or 7 or so monocular depth perception techniques that we have. So where is it? Fine. I'm gonna go to the glossary. I'm gonna type in bad 3D. Article here. It was the same article. Oh well. I thought I talked about it in some other places too, but I briefly talked about bad 3D here. Huh. It's like I remember things that I talk about. But yeah, you don't want to have a game where you're constantly trying to judge the difference into the screen. You want to judge distance horizontally and vertically, like a TV screen setup with horizontal pixels and vertical. That just kind of makes sense. The techniques we use to judge depth are like parallax, things in the background moving more slowly than things in the foreground, superposition or whatever, where things overlap when they're in the closer to you. The getting in the way and they overlap, kind of like this right now. My hand's overlapping the screen. You know it's closer because it's covering me up. We do things like shadows because we know light casts and shadows kind of determine where in the floating space your character is. Shadows are extremely important in games like this, and in games like Mario and stuff, sometimes they just make a unchanging, fixed, hard shadow underneath your character, even though the lighting would make it fuzzy or bigger or whatever. Like, no, we need to know where our character is in 3D space. So this game could definitely use a shadow. It's really hard to tell the space and timing between things. Not to mention that you don't have any control over your character's forward speed for the most part, unless you change colors, I think. So that's already a hard enough thing to get around with your design. So what you should do if your game has something like this is you should design your game to be as to not create challenges that stress that sort of handicap, that weakness, and make your jumps a lot wider and a lot bigger and not so tight, so that the player, even if they can't judge the distance so well, you're like, well, if the jump's not tight, getting close is good enough. Like, that's what a level design is supposed to do, help it out. But this game does not do that. So this jump right here, this beam is like that tight, I think, like this tight. I hit some close. Okay. So now it's going really fast since I played this a bunch of times. Hitting the salt shakers and stuff slow me down. I'm pink right now. The whole game got faster. These things are in way too clustered of a formation. Like, you can hardly tell. Okay, so we got a little bit of a superposition. We got a little bit of parallax, I guess. The lines on the base, the grid, kind of helps you understand spacing. So you know that these salt shakers are a little bit spaced out from each other in somewhat of a regular spacing. So that's why when we play, we can do stuff like this. But then there's that problem right there. A lot of these maneuvers require a double tap. Double tapping is something that I think I take issue with in general for 2D and D-pad controls. Let me just grab my spreadsheet and see if that's true. Hey, the music stopped. Design issues. Double tap. Oh. This is my spreadsheet. You've seen it before. It's all public, and it's all these records and thoughts I have on game design. And this is a whole spreadsheet of issues I take with different elements and design pieces in games. And double tap. So double tap on D-pad, analog sticks, etc. I do not like this. It's part of the mechanics category. Games that do it are Samus Returns, Axiom Verge, and now I can put this game name, which is a really long name, so I'm just gonna copy it from this. Fashionable Gummy Bear, blah 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 blah. Functional pros, you get a command on your fingertips, good for burst movement, but tapping and releasing a direction so rapidly is a bit tricky. Remember your fingers form the direction. Remember your finger form the direction can sacrifice forward movement for a bit, creating a stutter. Removing your fingers. I probably did this with the audio dictation. Removing your finger from the input device can sacrifice forward movement for a bit, creating a stutter. It can also stress a very unnatural kind of rapid movement, which typically is not good when you put too much of that in your game. The melee mechanics have caused a lot of people to suffer hand problems and things like that. So like games that fix it, a Breath of the Wild and Smash and stuff like that, or just spacing out your things so you don't have super tight maneuvers like we have here. So let's just go back to the game. So I can jump and jump right, left, left, right, jump. Like, seriously, right here, right, jump. Like, really? That's 3 inputs, and I'm using a D-pad, so I'm using all one hand to do all these maneuverings, but still, it's not easy. And then the bad 3D also makes it really hard to judge, and it's just tight in general. So, like, I don't know. None of this is sort of creating a skill-based, clearly communicated, fair sort of gameplay challenge. So like that's why every time I hit something or run into something, I kind of roll my eyes. And like these knives have shadows, and like my character doesn't. There's my shadow for my character apparently is projected in front of me. That needs to be projected directly below me, or does it only look like it's in front of me? Really weird. Was it there at the beginning? We'll see in a second. Da -ba -da 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 -da. So, okay, so I guess you just couldn't see the shadow in this intro area because he's using some kind of real-time lighting. Ah, why? Why? So that was some kind of like upgrade you get where orange comes down? More oranges come down? Is this supposed to be helping me get through with the orange handicap? So what games like pause you? No, I just gotta beat you. And I don't know what the colors do still. It's super awkward when you're... I guess you don't gain speed by jumping, or maybe you do. That bump is just super awkward. I'd rather just like get hit and keep rolling forward. Not being able to sort of control your own speed and then figure out when you need to jump to make a jump. It's like an auto runner with variable speed basically. So you're like, that's out of your control. A lot like Collect Sugar Madness in some ways, where it's an auto runner-ish type game that you collect candy. So, I'm seeing a trend. Yeah, and like another interesting thing for platformers. So what games like Temple Run do, and games like what other game? I guess the Despicable Me Minions auto runner game and stuff like that. What they do is they quantify their entire world into these block formations, right? And the blocks are like obstacles can only come in these block setups. So as your character's moving, you start to parse everything by blocks. Like I'm moving one block forward. As soon as I move one block forward, I know I can't hit an obstacle that was one block to the side of me, because when I move to the side, you know, I'm already going to be past it. And you start breaking things down to these even measurements. And also, the hazards and the jumps and the slides and stuff never come too close together, right? So you like do a maneuver and you got a little bit of running. Do a maneuver, you got a little bit of running. Do a jump, got a little bit of running. This game starts dense and stays dense. Like left, right, middle, jump. And like you're already, there's like no just running parts. And then stuff like this is so jam-packed. And it's also very linear and strict. Like, you don't really have a lot of choice in how you go through this. And a lot of times with platformers like this, it's better to give them extra challenges that they want to go for that make it challenging, rather than make the very skill floor minimum thing they have to do this challenging, right? It's supposed to encourage people to try harder and be more skillful and expressive, not like try to force so much on the base level. So a lot of indie platformers just try to do things way linearly, like all the time. Where it's like, you must do this because I think this is challenging and cool and skillful. And you're like, one, focusing too much on difficulty is the wrong way to go for just about every game. You should focus on how clearly you've communicated your ideas. You should focus on, is there a message, even an abstract one, being conveyed by your arrangements and your progression of level challenges and stuff like that, and can you just make an enjoyable experience, right? And the difficulty part, the challenge is so short-lived anyway. Either people are going to be so frustrated they won't play your game, the few people who do play your game are going to get better at it and it's not going to be a challenge for them, or people are never going to be challenged from in the beginning. But to try to focus on this like ephemeral experience of people being quote-unquote challenged and feeling it's hard, I feel like it's not worth it. You can make things that are challenging, but usually that is a byproduct of trying to make things that are complex, right? So if you wanted to make a really cool mission and a strategy game. Like, oh, isn't it cool that, you know, you've got this scenario where there's all these nuances and you can do this and that, but who knows what the right answer is? But maybe if you're smart enough, you can find a way to maneuver your troops. Well, to get to that concept, you have to have troops, you got to have 2 armies, you got to have stakes, you got to have objectives, you got to have all the stuff, and then you got to set up all the units, and then finally that idea can be conveyed. But I don't think anybody goes, I just want to convey a abstract, random sense of difficulty, you know, just because. You know, I think people should be challenged. What kind of game should I make to try to make that happen? I'll just start throwing in units and seeing what happens. Like, that's not how it works. The people start with their ideas that are made up of very small, easy to understand basic parts, and as they explore the design based on the decisions that they're making over time, they find interesting things like, oh, that jump is funny, or triple jumps in a row. It really, really feels good. It's really fun. And then they build levels like, I'm going to add this triple jump. I'm going to add this thing that's funny. And then I'm going to try to space them apart and so on and so forth. So yeah, like, in general, if the arrangement of all these elements in this level isn't really speaking to you, isn't speaking to me, isn't speaking to you or the creator, then I think the purpose of playing games like this is it's lost, right? It's got to be interesting in itself. So I'll give it one more play. Let me see what I want to... I still don't know what the colors do. I don't know what the purpose is of playing back-to-back. My experience seems to be changing, yet there's a leaderboard that kind of tells me that it's... we're all competing under the same stakes, which is very, very odd. See, I thought I was to the side of that already. Double T. I was trying to get the double tap ready, and then I hit the side of it. Like, really? And I tried to jump. I tried to jump off that wood, and it was like a fall off instead of a just a straight shot, which is kind of weird. And those are kind of hard to tell that they were arranged in a jump. I've been jumping for them for most of the runs, but I just now see that some are higher than others, which is, again, it's hard to tell even with the shadows there. And my highest score ever doesn't make any sense to me. I still couldn't beat Akamarak. I wonder if you just keep playing, you get more and more. Whoa, did I just go from 6 to 7? And somebody's actively playing right now? Not on my watch. That's so tight, and it's so weird. And like the fact that a lot of these obstacles are hidden behind each other, and that when you do one jump, it sends you colliding into another one, is just really odd. And it kind of leaning on this sort of quirk of this game where you can control your character very harshly in midair, which is typically not something you see in a lot of platformers and auto runners. You make a jump and it's a jump, right? And in order to respect that jump, they space out the challenges. This game does not do that. Whee! Well, so yeah, interesting little project. It's got things going on. I wouldn't say that. I say like the only ideas that are really, really clearly communicated are getting jelly beans is a good thing, and avoiding salt shakers and stuff, and not getting hit by a knife is a bad thing. Everything else I had like questions on or didn't understand that clearly, and I feel like this game could have easily had 3 parts or 3 levels or whatever. The intro part just being more freeform and jumping for thingies and kind of getting used to it. The middle stage having those salt shakers and tomatoes and stuff like that, and the last level being the water-based level, and the water having some kind of other kind of effect and kind of fleshing out those ideas a little bit more. But you know, the way games like Temple Run and Super Hexagon work is, hey, we got people in the chat. The way that Temple Run and Super Hexagon works is they get a very, very, very straightforward challenge, but what they do is they again have some optional things you can go for, like can you get all the coins in a row? Can you get the high score as you go? Can you do that? And then they speed things up. They also have power-ups, at least Temple Run does. So you're like, oh, you're electric and monkeys or something, and then between. Let me just get a video of Temple Run. Alright. Yeah, so here's Temple Run. Just a random YouTube video. You run out of a temple because you stole something. Oh, come on. Yeah, and your character runs, and then you have to swipe left, right at the right time, and you swipe up to jump over. You have to look carefully, like tree branches. Okay, and then you swipe down to. And I think that's all the same jump length. Let me just check. Yeah, it's all the same jump length. You swipe down to slide. So already we got 3 things going on: left, right, jump, and now we have slide. Right, so now you're making a more complex choice. Tilt to collect coins. So yeah, now we have a whole different kind of a movement, right? One is deciding the turns, but this one's about more fine control. And as you tilt, it's in 3 lanes, obviously, but I don't know if there's a little bit of analogness to it. Fill up the meter. So look how clean even this tutorial area is. One thing at a time, just one thing on the screen, one thing to focus on. And it's cool because the game's 3D. Seeing a turn ahead of time, you got to judge, like, do I need to be in the left lane or right lane? Do I need to get in the left lane or right lane ahead of time? Should I move the pad and swipe? Like, things get a little complex really quickly because these challenges start to add up and layer up. And, like, there's all these principles I could extract from this, like, never make a coin trail on a turn go from, like, one lane to another. If it starts in one lane before the turn, it needs to stay in that lane as you turn. So you can the player never has to like turn as the camera's turning, which is really overstressing the system. So right there, you got all the coins, gold. And then you got choices here, left and right. And I think some paths are more difficult than others. And when you make mistakes, I think the monkeys catch up on the bottom. So if you make too many mistakes, they get you. But every mistake, like going over a tree branch, isn't game over, right? You just slow down, and too many of those in a row, too quickly, will kill you. The monkeys will kill you. So then, like, okay, now it's an endurance race, and even though the challenges are relatively simple, and there's relatively few things on the screen, the pace picks up, your eyes are darting left and right, and the whole thing about never having a break means that eventually you're going to crash, right? So yeah. Temple Run. It's a very straightforward, simple game. Maybe we'll see a power-up. I think he's about to get enough gold to get a power-up. Come on, get that gold. Here we go. Oh, I don't even know what that is. Maybe Temple Run 2 has all the power-ups. Anyway. But yeah. Anyway, so... yeah, in games like Super Hexagon, it does a lot with just Super Hexagon. Does a lot with just left and right only, right? Only. So you just move left and right, and it's quantified by these hexagonal shapes. So it's very like you're in the middle. I mean, I think you can. It's analog, so you don't have to stay directly in the center when you turn. But it's clearly demarking. Is that the right word? The safe zones versus the other zones. Like the physical objects are never bleeding over those little dividing lines you see. And this is a game made by Terry Cavanaugh. It's a game genre that I call a rave style game, and I feel like Terry Cavanaugh's the only person who does it. I don't even know if he knows that I call these rave style, but he likes to have games that are really simple, visually a little messy, right? The pulsing and the intensity of the color changing, and then he likes to speed things up, and he likes to make it so unrelentingly, challenging, like without breaks or pauses that you eventually snap because of the sort of information overload. He made VVVVV the Super Gravitron on that. He made this game, Super Hexagon, which is really popular. He made his own take on Angry Birds, which is called what was it called? But it was a lot like this, and he made his own take on, or he made his own bullet shoot 'em up kind of thing where it was like this for Congregate a long time ago. And he may have made one other rave style game like this, but yeah, like it's just super straightforward, super smooth, and yet when you play this game, you can tell that there's a lot of level design. Like this is the boxy area, this is the weird enclosing box area, this is the open and close area, this is the outer hexa mover, and you have random words for it, but you can definitely tell this game has like 6 levels of difficulty, and you can feel the difference in the different shapes on each one. Yet all you do is move left and right in this game, yet it does so much. People love this game. I love this game. Yeah, and just getting past 60 seconds is challenging. And if you get much further than this, like the music changes and everything goes crazy. So cool. So yeah. So that's why I say a lot of times we can look at other genres to kind of figure out how to better understand other games or to draw inspiration or learn lessons from. But ultimately, just having a really solid understanding of like the basic actions of your game and things that you find fun, and not reaching for like high complex thing, but just kind of staying within your bounds. Guy got in the chat that says, isn't it also pattern recognition? Like everything in the world's pattern recognition. If you're using your brain to do it, it's pattern recognition. You got to recognize a whole bunch of elements and shapes and objects and then do something with that information. So yeah, like action games are about pattern recognition, recognizing the motion of objects and the type of object it is and what you should do when it gets close and how to time something so that what you want to happen happens, stuff like that. I mean, all knowledge is based on the fact that there's consistency, and recognizing the consistency means you recognize a pattern or some element that's the same. It just kind of goes on and on like that. The highest scores are static. That's funny. So yeah, I've played a lot of auto runners. I played Punch Quest, which got one of my games of the year when I played in 2012. I played Bust and Rush, which was a more console-focused one back in 2012. Cannonball at 100p. I played Jetpack Joyride, and I played Robot Unicorn Attack, and I played Super Mario Run. Cool. So let's say 7 auto runners. I played a little bit of Robot Unicorn, I think. I played Temple Run, didn't I? Yeah, I played Temple Run and Temple Run 2. Not properly labeled. Maybe I played some others. Yeah, there's auto running section and more traditional platformers, but yeah. Yeah. So cool. It's cool seeing the change over time Hoops Dog it and your game, and understanding the story behind it and seeing what kind of decisions you made. And now it's time to end the stream. I think I'm going to switch immediately over to playing Lemon's game, which is Patch Quest. So I'm going to stop the stream and start it back up again in like 5 minutes. All right, guys. Peace out.